Okay, thank you. Steve, we have a continued discussion around this. One or two comments made there about sort of burgeoning budgets, etc., etc. We actually had quite a good briefing from you during the course of this plan on exactly where we're at with our staffing levels. My understanding is that there is built into the budget an average 1.2% wage increase to give a bit of headroom. But anyhow, Steve, can you just respond to this from your viewpoint as the Chief Exec?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Look, the numbers that we've got, thinking about the council costs today, you know, I'm the employer of those people. Since amalgamation, our staff costs have remained constant at 22% of the operating expenses, so it hasn't changed. If we adjust the dollars that were spent and allow for the movement in salary and wage costs that you would expect to see in the New Zealand economy over the first 4 years of the Super City, we're bang on. So to create an impression that it's out of control is simply not supported by the facts. We have significant activity and volume-based businesses in this group and in this council. You know, libraries, building consents, resource consents, licensing, dog control, all of those things, our business volumes increase as our population grows. And if you put a cap on salaries, then we will simply find other ways to deliver those essential services through other structures and arrangements, and we could well end up with highly perverse outcomes as a result of that. I thought we had a pretty good meeting of the minds when we discussed the remuneration strategy in July last year, and that by strong majority, this council were endorsing that the Chief Executive should be the person on your behalf who looks after the balancing of how resource allocation decisions are made, and that you would not dabble in creating remuneration and salary caps for me. You would leave it to my judgment. And we added some very important changes to it, the principles underpinning our remuneration strategy, and we have clearly signalled to our staff quite openly that in a low inflation environment, the remuneration rewards will match that low inflation environment, and that if you've come to work at the council, your prime motivator would not be superior financial rewards that you might find in other private sector opportunities. So we're relying on creating a strong employer brand in Auckland that people want to come and work for this organisation and the group because they want to make a difference, and that they will be paid fairly for the effort that they make, and that we will grow staffing positions on the basis that the genuine need is there, that it's the best way to deliver that activity, i.e. in-house rather than contracting out to the private sector, and that we will maintain that commitment to be prudent with our overall salary and staffing costs. And you know, Sue Tyndall, our new Chief Financial Officer, has been here for a very short time and has already embarked with the executive team on looking really closely at the balance of how we spend in the remuneration and staffing area, with temporary staff, fixed termers, contractors, consultants, and full-time equivalent. So rather than picking on any one particular component of that spend, how do we resource the delivery of service in a growing city, we're looking at all of those elements, and I would expect we will find better opportunities, because we broadly agree with you that we are not finished the efficiency drive in this organisation and in this group, which is why we have accepted a significant increase in the efficiency target that you have set for us as part of this LTP. So for me, we can have more explanation and dialogue, but I thought we had kind of done this and reached a point where people were comfortable, and you would quiz us as we go forward as to how we're performing, rather than revisiting the philosophical place that you might want to be. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Okay, hang on, please. So I've got Councillor Bill, then I've got Councillor Dick. Councillor Callum also. Councillor Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Case study, animal management, dog control. Was contracted out. We bought 25 more staff in-house. I think leased something like 15 or 17 vehicles, annual savings, $180,000 approximately per year. So I understand what Councillor Brewer's trying to do here, but it's not as simple as that. The headline figure is the operating costs in total of this council, and we've seen the audited costs have basically been flatlining, although our population, as I said before, has gone up by nearly 200,000 in the past 4 and a bit years. So do we try to micromanage? No, we must not. The Chief Executive is tasked with the job of employing the staff, the right staff, and remunerating them in a correct fashion, to develop a positive and go-forward atmosphere around this council. We have to let them do that job. Our sole role must be to set the income base for this council and monitor the top-line figure of the overall expenditure budget, and not delve into this level of detail. It is a big detail, it's for sure, and it's very tempting to grab it and wave it around in front of the cameras, but that's not appropriate, nor is it helpful.
Come on.
The big deal is the operating total budget and the operating total income, and delivering the capital projects that this city needs to grow. And that's the task that's been given to the CE.
Kia ora. Councillor Dick.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and like Councillor Cashmore, I don't think micromanagement is appropriate. However, we are answerable to our constituents, and these are questions they ask us, and I think it's reasonable that we ask the CEO these questions. And the question that I'd like to put to him, Stephen, currently what is the staffing on the communications department?
Oh, look, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we did a communications and engagement review last year under Wilma, and she delivered net savings in the cost of that activity in the order of $3 to $4 million per annum. We increased the staffing because we did a similar thing to the example that Bill Cashmore's just outlined for you, Councillor Cashmore. We reduced our external design spending by creating our own in-house design studio. And so, you know, what we've done is we've taken out cost, but we have added staff to that unit because we judged that that was a better value for money proposition to reduce the rate at which we spend externally on designing our various publications and marketing efforts on activity-based business, and we brought that in-house and we're saving. So the question to me of, well, should we have 130 or 125 staff, it's kind of, that isn't the right question. It's what's the best way to deliver this service most efficiently, to get it as lean as we can and as effective as we can we do it for less cost? And that's what we've done with communications and engagement.
So you're happy that we're providing this communication service at the best possible cost and in the most efficient way.
Look, it's still a work in progress. That structure was only put in place in September and October last year, with positions being filled. There are 1 or 2 gaps still in that department. We've got a new communications and engagement director. Carl Ferguson started with us in September. You know, I judge our communications and engagement effort to be a work in progress. I think if you look at the recent long-term plan, we had some wobbly and less than perfect experiences out there with some of the Have Your Say events. But if you look at the quality and the nature of the feedback, I mean, I think that was a pretty impressive sign of what might be to come in that space. Now, that is communications and engagement working in the way that we envisage them working in the future, which is much more diverse channels of engagement, growing the quality and volume of feedback that elected members get to see around the table. But are we as efficient and as effective as we can be yet? No, we are not, and we're committed to getting better, and that's why we have arranged that activity in the manner that we have, and it's a work in progress, and we're pleased with the progress.
Okay, Councillor Callum.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. It's probably just under 15 months, I think, Stephen, since you started in the role, and from the previous CE, who was appointed by the ATA. And if I can say one thing, that all of us around this table were unanimous when we selected you to do a job, undertake a job, a role that we all viewed that you had the skill sets and the knowledge to be able to deliver what we see for the people of Auckland, and give us the confidence that you can take this council forward. And as we probably all know, that this organisation's second largest to Frontiera, and I think it's one of the largest councils in Australasia. The largest council, as I said, in Australasia. And I hear what Councillor Brewer is saying, but I myself have the confidence that you will be able to deliver the outcomes for not just the councils around this table, for the people of Auckland. And it's a hell of a big role when I'm sure that my council colleagues around here on a daily basis, if not weekly, would come to you with particular issues as well, as you're trying to drive savings and deal with other matters within the organisation. And if I can just use the ports, for example, I'm sure as hell over the last number of weeks has consumed a hell of a lot of your time whilst you've been trying to deal with other critical matters. Yes, maybe some of us do have some concerns in areas where, you know, it might be around comms or whatever, but that's for us to come to you at the CE meeting and deal with those. And I think what Councillor Cashmore was saying there, do we get down into the role of micromanaging? It's not our role, but it's our role to govern and to make sure that we're getting best bang and best return for the people of Auckland. So I can't support this today. Hear where Councillor Brewer is coming from, but to me it would be pretty much a kick in the guts to our CE and knocking the confidence and the credibility that he can deliver to the people of Auckland. So I'll leave it at that.